We are live. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram. Check out Ion Clark, A-I-O-N Clark on Instagram. He created that music for us and a fabulous artist. I think we're all systems go. Should we just get at it? Should we do a show? Welcome, everybody. February 13th, 2025, episode 331. Welcome to Mornings with Scott, the best damn business show for medium and small businesses on the planet. Thank you for joining us on Facebook, Ashley, and for doing the sound check-in. There is no business news at all today. Nothing. Markets are flat. Canadian dollar was up. That was good. Inflation's still high. It's reciprocal tariff day, but I'm not talking about tariffs today because tariffs are boring. The reciprocal tariff from the Trump administration is geared to countries like India, where they tariff the crap out of U.S. goods being imported into India, and the U.S. does not reciprocate, at least at the same level. And so it's reciprocal tariff day. Boring. We talk about tariffs maybe every other day at the most. Is that fair? What do we got here? Make sure our Instagram people are all good. Elon Musk says he will pull the bid for OpenAI. We talked about this yesterday. He bid $97.4 billion for OpenAI. Really, we were speculating yesterday what the motivation may have been. And one of them was to get attention and to muddy the works on OpenAI converting from a charitable organization, which is what it is and what it was intended for, and why Elon Musk funded it from day one. Get that hair down there. To convert from that to a for-profit company. And so he threw this bid in to maybe muddy up the works. We didn't know if it was serious or just for attention. On X, not related to this. Well, I should say, let me just finish on the Musk part, that he said he will pull the bid, according to the Wall Street Journal, if OpenAI remains a not-for-profit company. And so there you go. He's muddying up the works. He just doesn't want it to convert for whatever reason. But I think a big convert to a profit company. But I think a big part of this, of course, is attention. What does that mean? Well, at Naval, do you follow Naval on X? You should. Naval. At Naval. Naval is Naval Ravikant, an entrepreneur, investor, thought leader, best known for co-founder and chairman and former CEO of AngelList, which is a platform for startups and angel investors. He's a super bright guy. If you ever get a chance to listen to him on podcasts, he is terrific. Good on him. Always says, always be broke. That must be in reference to the tariffs. I don't want to talk about tariffs today. Naval's post is this that I thought was interesting. The currency of life isn't money. It's not even time. It's attention. Do you think Musk was just trying to get attention with this $97.4 billion bid? This is the modern world. There is more noise, more globalization, more need for attention to accomplish anything at all. I have created, if you've listened to my content and go back, we'll cover it more and more over and over again, a methodology for negotiation that you can work with and a methodology for persuasion that you can work with. We called it the ATMOG. We thought that was fun way back when we created this. But the very first thing you need is attention. That's what the A stands for. The second is trust, by the way. That's the T. But you need attention, because if no one is listening to you, you can't persuade them. You can't sell them your goods. You can't sell them your services. You can't negotiate. You can't influence in a political sense or in a social capacity sense. You can't do anything if you don't have attention. And back in the day, when we all lived in our little village, it wasn't so hard to get attention. You could just go walk the street and hang out at your local saloon or coffee shop or whatever. With more globalization, digital media, people not leaving their homes and working from there, this attention thing is becoming much more difficult. This is the modern world. The currency of life is attention. I think Naval has nailed that. excuse me, look at everybody. Look at everybody that you see as successful these days, Trump or Musk or anybody that you have ever heard of. They are interesting. They have attention. They've cracked the attention code. The number one rule of the attention code, Elon Musk has told us this directly, is don't be boring. That's the number one rule for getting attention. Do not be boring. And if you pay attention to the Musks and Trumps of the world, many others, but I'm just looking at those two because they're all over the news this morning. You might hate them. You might not like what they're doing. I'm not saying I do. But lots of people do not support what's going on with Trump and Musk, even though I think it's great. If you don't support it, you still pay attention. You cannot turn away, even if you hate it. Why? Because it's interesting. Why is it interesting? Because it is not boring. Speaking of Trump, volume is also a big part of attention. Repeating is a big part of attention and a big part of persuasion. So not be boring, but you need to just constantly get your message out all the time. There was an interview I saw on social last night with Don Jr. I think he was being interviewed by his daughter, so Trump's granddaughter, and he was musing about his father, now the president, heading up to the election at 79 years old, I believe, and had done 2 back-to-back all-nighters at 79 years old, and then jumped on the morning shows after 2 back-to-back all-nighters. So he'd gone 48 hours plus straight, jumped on the morning shows, looked great, did a good job, was coherent, looked energetic. Amazing to have that amount of energy. Always Be Broke says, how much more attention can Elon get? Media is at capacity. Yeah, maybe, but it's one of the reasons that he is on top. I would suggest to you the energy of Trump and a lot of these top business people these days is really phenomenal. Excuse me one. And I have found, as I get older, some of you that know me know that I was sick for a little while, well, quite a while, and that really dinged my energy. And since then, as I've got older, I've really focused on how can I maximize my energy at this part of my career, this part of my life. When I was younger, 30s and 40s and working on Bay Streets, like I was doing, when I launched my own company in 94, I was doing on average 3 all-nighters a week. And for years, a decade before that, I would show up at the accounting firm and the investment banking group that I worked in. And I was never an early riser. We get to work at 9:30 in the morning. And then we'd go to 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And did that 6 days a week. Just always, just regular. It was routine, tons of energy. But as you get older, that doesn't work so much. It's hard to do. I can't really do an all-nighter at all anymore. But I have created myself a methodology for personal energy, and I thought it was interesting for today because there's a lot of influencers and thought leaders coming at us with energy conversations today. So I thought it was interesting to pull all that together in a day of slow news. As Scott Adams suggests, the podcaster and thought leader on persuasion. If you want to learn about persuasion, his podcast is fantastic for that. He suggests to you that he frames it that everything you do in life should be, your choices should be to do things that give you energy and to not do things that take away your energy. As simple as that. And it has been really a great frame for me. Danny Whistler joined on Instagram. Thank you for joining us. Just to remind you, I have to go to a different screen in this setup to look at Instagram comments and people. And I can often, on the Instagram side, see who's watching, whereas some of the other platforms I cannot see who is watching. So do the things that give you energy. Don't do the things that do not give you energy. It's worked very well for me. Have you ever heard of this guy, Bryan Johnson? Most recently, Johnson, so he's an entrepreneur. He made a bunch of money. I don't know how much. I listened to him on a podcast about a year ago. To be honest with you, I didn't really like his personality, so he kind of turned me off. But he is most gained attention for Project Blueprint, which is an ambitious initiative where he's spending about $2 million a year on cutting-edge health interventions that he follows this rigorous regime of over 100 daily supplements, plasma therapy, advanced medical treatments, all to reverse aging and, as he would put it, biohack biology. That's what he's trying to do. He's doing it on himself. He's done some on his family. They did blood transfusions from like a kid, his kid to him, from him to his father, sort of taking younger blood. And I don't know. It was all very strange. But he's having success and he's sharing the journey as he goes along. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because as I'm getting older and I'm dealing with energy, and you are probably experiencing the same thing. Everybody's biology is different, but I think it's interesting. I have a morning, a daily routine now in terms of my food consumption and how that impacts my energy and when I do things at work. And so this is for Bryan Johnson. It's stop treating food timing as an afterthought. He suggests using fasting like a performance tool. So this is a performance tool that he is recommending, and it's working. It's working. He's got scientific data on everything. He says you use the timing of food as a performance tool, both strategically and deliberately. And so here is his routine. And I love it because I've been struggling with this and I've come up with basically the exact same routine. And it's been working terrific for me for like 6 months. And I've been knocking it out of the park. I've been more productive than I've been in years. Specifically, I put it because of this routine. So he says the morning power window, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Wake up, fasted, no food, black coffee only. 16 ounces of water with electrolytes, high priority, deep work tasks. So exactly, I'm at work. This morning I was working at 5 a.m., sitting at my desk. 6 a.m. is my latest. And I can hammer through stuff, including prepping and doing this show until 10 a.m. with really no problem whatsoever. I do not eat. I fast. I try to fast until 2 p.m. I normally make it until noon, but I try to go until 2. And I do nothing but coffee, black, and water with a scoop of organic electrolytes in it. And it makes a huge, huge difference. And I have noticed that the minute I take a bite of anything, my energy level crashes back down to a more normal 60-year-old, 59-year-old level of energy. And I do the most difficult things that I need to do during the day. So this morning I had to send out an email that I didn't like, actually a couple of emails that I didn't like to send out. They required a lot of thought. They put me in an uncomfortable position. I did them both last night, just shit, bullet points. I didn't like it. But it gave me a base to edit this morning and I cracked through them. And honestly, I got them both out in like half an hour, 45 minutes. I'm so fresh in the morning with this fasting and coffee and electrolytes. So that's 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., according to this Bryan Johnson fellow. And then 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., focus amplification. Maintain your fastest state through key meetings. Green tea for sustained alertness, 5-minute walks between tasks. Okay, so what I find is around 10:30, that morning super focus burst of energy that I have starts to kind of fall off a little bit, or I get a little disfocused or distracted by the things of the day. And by the way, it's not in this protocol, but 0 of this works if you're surfing social media. If I wake up in the morning and see how our media is working, if I flip onto Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever it is that we're putting media on, I'm just done. I'm done for the day. I can never recover. I'll have a normal day. I'm not saying I go to bed, but I don't have this burst of energy. So a big part of that protocol for me is my phone is not available to me until after about 11 p.m. That works well for my brain. So he's saying focus application 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Maintain your fastest state through key meetings. So I told you I get hungry around noon, even though I'm trying to make it to 2. But if I have an important meeting at 1, I don't eat at noon. I don't care how hungry I am, because the minute I start to eat, that energy level drops. It's fascinating. Now, I have not tried the green tea. I'm going to try that. He says 5-minute walks between tasks. Say a task is like a 20-minute, half an hour, sit down, do something, do a little walking between during this period. I do not do the walk, mostly because it's like minus 35 outside here right now. But I do push-ups and squats in my office. And I try to do 5-6 sets a day. So I use that as the break between tasks. So I think I'm on the same page here. And then at 2 p.m., he says strategic refuel. So exactly, I've been trying to fast until 2. I don't have to make it, but that's what I tried to do. And then he says starts refueling at 2 p.m. with a high protein first meal. Yes, that's exactly what I do. I normally do eggs of some sort. And then complex carbs, that means vegetables, guys, for sustained energy, and then a 10-minute walk after eating. So I love this biohack because it's exactly where I arrived. And think about it, guys, for your personal, if you run a business, a medium or small business, and you go to my site, thescottsinclair.com, and it talks to you about the winning momentum content, what you're going to learn is it says, one leg to this three-legged stool, which is an expression I've been using far too often lately. One leg to this three-legged stool is the operational know-how, financial know-how, and expertise, right? How to manage your cash flow, understand working capital, debt instruments, contribution markers, that sort of stuff. Another leg to that stool is leadership. Can you persuade people? Can you create a team environment? Can you build all of that? But the third leg to the stool is you, because smaller businesses are 100% reliant on the individual, on the leader. And if you have no energy, because you just don't, or you're getting older, or you're sick, or if you're in health, or your diet is wrong, well, then you're screwed. It's never going to work. And so I've personally experienced that, and as I've gotten older, as I said, and I just love this regimen, and I wanted to share it with you. He says the rules: never break your fast for routine tasks, like we talked about. First meals follows important morning work. We talked about that. If you're hungry before noon, you ate too late yesterday. I didn't know that. And that's interesting because I can't go to sleep unless I have like a big sandwich or something right before bed, which is, not good. Obviously, I understand that. Maximum 8-hour eating window. And that basically is a 16-hour fast is what he's trying to say there, which is what I try to target. Always have emergency protein ready. Okay. That's how you create energy. One way to create energy in a human being, which obviously is important for your business. But what about in an organization? Did you know? Sorry about that. Did you know that I created a business course? There's a link on the notes to this. And in that course, which is 8 modules, 3 of which have been released, and the 4th is coming out shortly here. We just redesigned that entire Shopify site, so you can go and look at that. That is the best value for money business course on the planet. And you can also get personal coaching services there. Imagine having access to a world-class coach for like $350. It's crazy value for money. But module 3 of that business course, you can go search it right now if you want, is about creating momentum, harnessing energy to propel your business forward. Harnessing energy to propel your business forward. So this is energy within a business. And the whole proposition there is that energy is a function of momentum. Winning momentum is everything. That's why this whole podcast was originally called the Winning Momentum Podcast. I have a quote in there from Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the guy that received the bid for $97.4 billion from Elon Musk. And the quote is, "I thought for a long time you get burned out from working too hard. Burnout actually comes from failing. Momentum is really energizing. Lack of momentum is super draining. I find I have infinite energy to work on things that I find are interesting or are working, and I find I almost have none to work on things that are not interesting or not working. Isn't that interesting? Energy and momentum are related in organizations, also in individuals. And you need to know that momentum can be positive, winning momentum, or it can be negative. And winning momentum creates energy, and energy attracts resources. Do you want to work for a company that has a bunch of winning momentum, is getting better every day, is the buzz of the town? Or do you want to work for the company that is going off a cliff and everybody knows is in trouble and no one's pulling this thing together and things are getting worse every single day? Winning momentum attracts resources, human resources, and attracts capital resources. Do you want to be an investor in that winning company, or do you want to be an investor in that losing company, right? So you can manufacture winning momentum. And when you do, you create energy, and energy creates or attracts resources. It also compounds success. This is another quote from that module from Naval yet again. He says that all the benefits in life come from compound interest. Money, relationships, habits, anything of importance comes from compounding. That's where success lies. Same with momentum, same with energy. The other thing about energy and positive momentum, winning momentum, is it creates culture. Everybody wants to build a team in their business. They want to have great culture. Let me ask you a question. If you're a sports fan and you're the coach, you're looking at the coach of a team and we're going to win the game, we're going to win the championship. We played together as a team. Is it the playing together as a team that creates the teamwork? Is it the playing together as a team that creates the win? Or is it the winning that creates the team culture and the teamwork? You never thought about that, did you? Maybe the answer is a little bit of both, but I do know this. Winning creates energy. Any energy attracts resources, and it builds teams. I have never, in my 35 years, seen a troubled business or an underperforming business with a good team. Never. So either there's 100% correlation between team building and success, or success in and of itself creates team building. Something to think about. You can manufacture momentum. You can buy that module. That's module 3 of this course. You can buy that individually, or you can buy the whole course. And again, I think that's just a few $100 is what it's priced at. You get so much content, 8 videos, like an hour to another hour, 20, hour and a half each video. You get a workbook, you get a free coaching session. And so go and check that out. Also on that course, module 1 is about embracing change. The idea is to break through complacency, which is the death of a business, is to break through that complacency and manage with objective measures, KPIs, to broaden your advisory board, to get different perspectives from outside expert opinions. Go check that link on the notes for the coaching services that are offered on thescottsinclair.com as well. So I did a post, speaking of complacency, and you can find it on the Sinclair Range website, and it says, forget the root cause, fix the problem, and move forward. So you can go to the Sinclair Range LinkedIn page. You can go to sinclairrange.com website, and it's really a blog format, and you'll see a bunch of great content geared not necessarily to solopreneurs, although you can learn from that as well, but more to upper, small, medium-sized businesses. And it says, when dealing with any challenge, whether it's business turnaround or a personal hurdle, focusing on root causes often becomes an excuse for inaction. It's easy to hide behind analyzing why things went wrong, but you don't actually fix the issue. The real solution lies in decisive and immediate action. Imagine you're on your way to an important meeting and a car accident is blocking the road. Do you need to know the root cause of that crash, right? You're trying to go to work in the morning, you got a meeting, you got an important pitch to do, and the road is blocked. Do you need to research why that's happening, or do you need to get the hell out of there and find another way to work? I think the answer to that's pretty obvious. And so you need to take action, just deal with the immediate thing in front of you. Now, that does not mean ignore the first principles of what's going on in your business, okay? But that may not be today's problem. Today's problem is to get to work to do your pitch. That's your immediate problem. And it's doing those immediate things that create momentum. And as I say in this post, momentum is everything. Once you've tackled the immediate challenge, there's time to reflect and plan on the future. So there was a fellow that replied to that. His name is Peter McCann. We are connected on LinkedIn. I feel like I spoke to him once in my life. I'm not sure if that's true. He looks like a respectable fellow. You can look him up if you want to on LinkedIn. M small c large C-A-N-N. Peter McCann is a management consultant. He says not quite. That would be called paralysis by analysis. Is a classic description. Of course, we should not allow over analyzing the why to become a roadblock to action. However, the most common managerial failures in a struggling business are complacency and short-termism, which is get a bandage on the bleeding wound. Okay, so he's disagreeing, and he thinks that my post is about short-termism, which it's not. It's about momentum. I'm not saying ignore the root causes. First principles. I hate that, root causes. Don't ignore the first principles in your business, but focus first on energy. Focus on momentum. Do the things that give your business energy. Do not do the things that take energy away. And don't be complacent. That's module 1 and module 3 of the business course, respectively. That's what that is. By the way, and you break complacency by leading your business with a routine of nonstop continuous improvement. That's what that module 1 is in that course. Speaking of complacency, I got an email yesterday. So in Calgary, Alberta, there's an auto dealer where I bought an Infinity, and they emailed me yesterday. I've never liked their service department, so I don't take it back there, but they have a good showroom. And so we have in our family, a QX60 Infinity out of these people. And I get an email from them yesterday. It says, "Hello, Scott. Please know that Hyatt Infinity is still open and have put in place extraordinary health and safety measures to ensure both our customers and employees' safety while supporting your needs. Please take a moment to view these here." And that's a hyperlink, the here. Okay. So it never occurred to me that Hyatt Infinity was not open. I have no idea what has happened that has caused them to put in place extraordinary health and safety measures. No idea. Completely out of the blue, this email. Now, it does go on to say, hey, bring your car in for service, blah, blah, blah. So it was a pitch. But the opening to this pitch is, we're still open, which makes me wonder, why would I think you were closed to begin with? Why? Because it relates to something to do with health and safety. Okay, you've got my attention. Let's click this link, this here. Where does that go? It goes straight to their website, where there is nothing about health and safety measures, nothing at all. No notice. I flipped through the entire site. I was so perplexed by this, I did a reply email to the person, and I said, hey, that hot link that says here doesn't go anywhere that has anything about health and safety. And what did I get back? Nothing. There's been no reply to that in 24 hours. You need to be better. You need to be better. Do not be complacent in your business. Hey, I just want to touch quickly on KTM restructuring. I forgot to put that in the notes, but we have in a prior episode talked about the motorsports company KTM and owned by a public company out of Austria, Pierer Mobility, and they're in administration. They're doing a bankruptcy restructuring, and I'm part of a community. I pay attention to a motorsports community that follows this, and so it's interesting. And I did a sort of a deep dive on that. I don't remember. I think it was before Christmas, and some of my conclusions were that you enter into one of these processes, you have good ideas as a leader, as a shareholder, as a stakeholder, but you don't really know. Like the process is going to take a life of its own, and you don't know what's going to happen. Well, announced yesterday that White Box Advisors, which is a U.S.-based hedge fund out of Minnesota, I believe, holding KTM promissory notes, has accused the company of failing to engage in negotiations or respond to requests for information. That was a letter sent to management that was reviewed by Bloomberg. The creditors' vote on the restructuring plan, which is offering 30 cents on the dollar to unsecured creditors, is February 25th. So what's that, 10, 12 days away. In January, Whitebox proposed a restructuring plan that offers creditors 45 cents compared to 30 cents. And that's going to be a big deal for courts. If someone else has come along and said, hey, we have a plan, we're willing to write a check, and you get an extra 15 cents on the dollar for creditors, everybody has to look at that. They have accused KPM of manipulation of this process. Why would someone manipulate this process? So that the incumbents, the current shareholders, and leaders, being Mr. Pierre or himself, they've come out on top. The whole point of restructuring is to rebalance creditor rights, right? The first in charge, the first rights, the priorities go to the government, and then they go to the secured creditors, and then they go to the unsecured creditors, and then they go to the shareholders. Well, what you're trying to do in a restructuring is give a little from one group and take from another group so that this thing can move forward. Everybody, nobody's happy, but everybody survives. The company goes on and saves jobs. That's what you're trying to do in a restructuring. Well, if you're manipulating that for your own benefit, which is often an accusation in these things, then you're going to end up in trouble with the court. So Whitebox has mentioned having interest from potential equity investors who could step in with capital if the current shareholders don't want to support the plan. In contrast, KTM's plan is looking for its parent company, Pierre Mobility, to raise up to close to $1 billion in fresh funds to help stabilize the company. And they don't have the deal done, as far as we know. Whitebox has been reaching out to other creditors and other note holders, and they say they have a quote unquote large number of investors, as noted in the letter, which means if you can rally a bunch of creditors to go to the court on February 25th to the judge and say, hey, we have a better idea, we'd like to do that instead of what the company is proposing. Do not agree to what the company is saying. Let's look at other options. And here is a letter from all of these creditors, which needed to be treated fairly. The judge is going to look at that for sure. It says here, should negotiations fail to progress, Whitebox intends to vote against the company's restructuring plan, and the rejection could lead to KTM into liquidation. It won't. Or another insolvency process. It will. Where the company could lose control. It will. I remind you that in my original deep dive, I said to you guys, hey, no one can predict where this is going to go. That's the nature of these large insolvency filings. People will step up to buy this business because of the brand value. You've got KTM, you've got Husqvarna, you've got Gas, and some other lesser brands. People are going to want to own those brands. So there's a deal to be done here because there is asset value. And I said that Pierre will likely lose control. Here we go. I think that's what's happening. I've used up all my time. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. Hey, remember the theme of 2025 for your business: defense wins championships. See you tomorrow.